Dr. Veltar Moonwhisper pressed her 6 tentacles against the cold metal console of the research vessel Serenity's Edge. Her purple skin turned a darker shade as she stared at the data streaming across her screen. The readings made no sense. According to every scientific model she knew, the planet they were studying should be empty, dead, nothing could survive there, but the radio signals said otherwise. Captain Zephyr 9 Blue floated into the lab, his crystalline body catching the blue light from the ship's displays. His voice sounded like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "Doctor, have you made progress with the signals from the third planet?" Veltar's tentacles curled with worry. "Captain, I believe we have discovered something impossible. The planet sends out organized radio waves. This means intelligent life exists there. But the planet itself should kill anything that tries to live on it." The captain's crystal form shifted colors from blue to orange, showing his confusion. "Explain this to me, Doctor." Veltar touched her console, and a hologram of the blue and green planet appeared between them. "Look at this world, Captain. The surface temperature changes by over 50 degrees in different seasons. Massive storms rage across the continents with winds that could tear apart our ship. The planet's crust moves constantly, creating explosions of molten rock that destroy everything for hundreds of kilometers." "That does sound deadly," the captain agreed. "But wait, there is more." Veltar's tentacles moved quickly over her controls. "This planet gets hit by space rocks regularly. Some are large enough to end all life. Ice covers the entire world every few 100,000 years. The oceans contain creatures that could swallow our ship whole. Even the air contains poisonous gases." Captain Zephyr 9 Blue's color shifted to deep red, showing his alarm. "And you say intelligent beings live there?" "Not just live, Captain. They thrive. Listen to this." Veltar played a recording of radio signals. The sounds were organized and complex, clearly made by thinking beings. The captain listened for several minutes. "These patterns show advanced mathematics and science. How is this possible on such a dangerous world?" Before Veltar could answer, Lieutenant Hivemind Node 7 entered the lab. The insect-like being's compound eyes reflected the light from dozens of angles. "Captain, we have received a response to our diplomatic greeting signal." "A response?" Veltar's tentacles trembled. "So quickly?" "Most civilized species need months to prepare for first contact." Node 7 clicked his mandibles together. "The response came within hours of our transmission. The beings call themselves humans. They have agreed to meet us at the neutral station in the Kepler system." Captain Zephyr 9 Blue's color shifted back to blue, showing his surprise. "They agreed immediately? Without any preparation time?" "Yes, Captain." The human who responded seemed ... excited about meeting us. He said it would be an adventure. Veltar made a sound like water bubbling, which was her species' way of expressing shock. "Adventure? First contact with alien species is one of the most dangerous and important events in any civilization's history. How can they call it an adventure?" Node 7's head tilted. The human also mentioned that several of their people volunteer for dangerous missions regularly. He said they have something called astronauts who travel through space for fun. For fun? The captain's form began to flicker between colors rapidly. "Space travel is deadly. No sane being does it for enjoyment." Veltar pulled up more data about the planet called Earth. "Captain, I am beginning to understand why these humans seem so strange. Look at what they do on their own planet." The hologram changed to show images the humans had broadcast into space. The three aliens watched in growing horror as the pictures showed humans doing impossible things. They saw humans climbing massive ice-covered mountains for no apparent reason. Other humans threw themselves from great heights with only cloth wings to slow their fall. Some humans went underwater with creatures that had teeth longer than their arms. "This cannot be real," whispered the captain. "The transmissions are authentic," Node 7 confirmed. "These humans regularly put themselves in deadly situations. They call it recreation." Veltar's tentacles were now pale with shock. "Recreation means fun activities. They do dangerous things for fun." But Captain, this is not the strangest part. Look at their population numbers. The hologram showed statistics about human civilization. There are over 7 billion humans on that planet. 7 billion. They have not just survived on their Deathworld, they have filled it with their kind. Captain Zephyr 9 Blue's form went completely transparent, which happened when his species experienced total confusion. This makes no scientific sense. Evolution should select against such behavior. Beings who seek danger should die out quickly. Node 7 buzzed his wings nervously. Captain, there is something else. The humans want to send a delegation to meet us. The leader of their group is someone called Colonel Jake Morrison. I researched his background. He has volunteered for over 20 dangerous missions to space. Volunteered? Veltar's voice got higher. He chooses to risk his life repeatedly? Yes. Doctor, and according to their records, he seems to enjoy it. The humans describe him as eager and brave. The three aliens stood in silence for several minutes, trying to process this information. Finally, Captain Zephyr 9 Blue spoke. We must be very careful. Either these humans are the most insane species in the galaxy, or they possess some form of intelligence we cannot understand. Veltar nodded, her tentacles still pale. I will continue studying their world. Perhaps I can discover how they survive what should be impossible. Do that, Doctor. Node 7, prepare our diplomatic team. We will meet these humans, but we must be ready for anything. As Node 7 left to make preparations, Veltar turned back to her screens. She watched more human broadcasts seeing humans, racing mechanical devices at deadly speeds, fighting with their bare hands for entertainment, and exploring the deepest parts of their dangerous oceans. What kind of beings are these humans? She whispered to herself. The answer would come soon enough. In 3 days, they would meet at the neutral station. Captain Zephyr 9 Blue had already sent word to the Galactic Council, warning them about the discovery of a new species from an impossible world. The humans had sent their own message, saying they looked forward to making new friends among the stars. They had even included what they called jokes to make the meeting more relaxed. Veltar did not understand the jokes. She did not understand how anyone could be relaxed about first contact. Most of all, she did not understand how millions of years of evolution had created beings who survived by running toward danger instead of away from it, but she would learn. The humans were coming, and they would bring their impossible existence with them. The galaxy would never be the same. As she prepared her equipment for the meeting, Veltar wondered if the humans were humanity's greatest strength or if they were all completely insane. Perhaps, she thought with a shiver that ran through all 6 tentacles, those were the same thing. The neutral station hung in space like a metal flower, its spinning sections creating artificial gravity for the many different species that used it. Dr. Veltar, Moonwhisper floated through the docking bay in her environmental suit, watching. As the human ship approached, the human vessel looked strange compared to other ships she knew, where most civilized species built their ships with smooth curves and safety features. The human ship had sharp angles and what appeared to be weapon systems built right into the hull. Even their peaceful diplomatic vessel was designed for war. Captain Zephyr 9 Blue's voice crackled through her communicator. Doctor, the humans are requesting permission to dock. They say they are excited to meet us. Veltar's tentacles curled inside her suit. Excited? They should be terrified. First contact is the most dangerous moment in any species' history. The human ship docked with a series of loud clangs that made the station shake. Most species approach docking with careful precision, but the humans seem to embrace the violent contact. Through the viewing port, Veltar could see figures moving inside the human ship with quick, confident movements. Lieutenant Hivemind Node 7 buzzed nervously beside her. Doctor, I have been studying more human transmissions while we traveled here. What I discovered makes no sense. Tell me, Veltar said, watching the airlock cycle. The humans have something called sports. These are organized activities where they deliberately hurt each other for entertainment. Millions of humans watch other humans fight, crash into each other, and risk serious injury. They cheer when someone gets hurt. Veltar's skin turned pale purple. They enjoy watching their own kind suffer. It gets worse. They have activities called extreme sports where individual humans try to do the most dangerous things possible. One human jumped from the edge of space with only a cloth parachute. Another human surfed waves as tall as our ship during a storm. They record these activities and share them with others. The airlock finished cycling and the first human stepped through. Veltar had seen images of humans, but seeing one in person was different. The being was tall and solid-looking, with short brown hair and bright blue eyes. He wore a dark blue uniform with symbols that meant nothing to her. "Hello there," the human said, his mouth stretching in what Veltar knew was called a smile. "I'm Colonel Jake Morrison. It's great to finally meet you folks." The human's casual tone shocked Veltar. He spoke as if they were old friends meeting for a pleasant meal, not representatives of different species making first contact. Ambassador Lisa Parker stepped through the airlock next. She was shorter than the colonel, with long dark hair tied back neatly. Her smile was even wider than his. "This is incredible. I've dreamed about this moment since I was a little girl." Node 7 stepped forward, his translator working to convert his clicking sounds into human language. "We welcome you to this station. We hope this meeting will be peaceful and beneficial for both our species." "Peaceful? Of course it will be." Colonel Morrison laughed. "We're here to make friends, not enemies, though I have to say, your ship looks pretty amazing. Much more advanced than ours." Veltar found her voice. "Colonel Morrison, are you not concerned about potential dangers?" Cultural misunderstandings between species can lead to terrible conflicts. The human tilted his head, looking puzzled. "Well, sure, there's always some risk. But that's what makes it exciting, right? Besides, we've dealt with much more dangerous situations back home." "More dangerous than first contact with alien species?" Veltar's tentacles trembled. Ambassador Parker stepped forward. "Doctor, if I may ask, what kind of world do you come from?" Veltar described her home planet, a peaceful world with stable weather, gentle seasons, and no dangerous animals. The plants provided all the food her people needed, and natural crystals gave them unlimited clean energy. The two humans listened with interest, but Veltar noticed they seemed almost disappointed by her description. "That sounds very safe," Colonel Morrison said. "But doesn't it get boring? I mean, what do you do for excitement?" "Excitement?" Veltar repeated the word like it was poison. "Why would we want excitement?" "Excitement means danger, and danger means death." The humans looked at each other and smiled again. Ambassador Parker spoke gently. "Colonel Morrison, I think we should show them some of our cultural videos. Maybe they'll understand us better." They moved to a conference room where the humans connected their equipment to the station's display system. What Veltar saw next would haunt her for the rest of her life. The first video showed humans racing mechanical vehicles at incredible speeds around a circular track. The vehicles moved so fast they became blurs, and when they crashed, they exploded in balls of fire. Instead of stopping the race, other humans continued driving through the wreckage. "This is called auto racing," Colonel Morrison explained cheerfully. "The drivers compete to see who can go fastest without dying." Without dying. Node 7's compound eyes focused sharply on the screen. "Death is a possibility?" "Oh, sure," Ambassador Parker said. "Racing is dangerous, but that's part of what makes it fun. The drivers know the risks, and they choose to race anyway." The next video showed humans throwing themselves off cliffs with nothing but elastic ropes tied to their feet. They fell toward certain death, screaming with what Veltar realized was joy, not terror. At the last moment, the ropes stopped their fall, and they bounced up and down like toys. "Bungee jumping," the colonel said. "Great way to spend a weekend." Veltar watched in horror as the videos continued. Humans climbed vertical rock faces without safety equipment. They rode wooden boards down mountains covered in ice. They descended into deep underwater caves where they could easily get lost and drown. "Why do they do these things?" she whispered. "Because it's fun, Ambassador," Parker replied. "Because it makes us feel alive. Because overcoming fear and danger makes us stronger." The final video showed something that broke Veltar's understanding completely. It was footage of humans in a war zone, running toward enemy fire to rescue wounded comrades. Instead of seeking safety, they deliberately put themselves in deadly situations to help others. "This is our military," Colonel Morrison said with obvious pride. "When things get dangerous, they run toward the trouble, not away from it." Node 7's wings buzzed rapidly. "This makes no evolutionary sense. Beings who seek danger should die out quickly. How do you survive as a species?" Ambassador Parker thought for a moment. "I think it's because we learned that running away from danger doesn't always work. Sometimes you have to face it head on. And when you do that enough times, you start to realize that most things aren't as scary as they seem." "But your planet," Veltar protested. "The data shows it tries to kill you. Constantly. Earthquakes, storms, volcanoes, ice ages. How do you live with all that?" Colonel Morrison shrugged. "Same way we live with everything else. We adapt, we get stronger, we help each other. And honestly, all those challenges made us tougher. Maybe if our planet had been safer, we never would have developed the skills to reach the stars." Veltar stared at the humans, trying to process what she was hearing. These beings had turned survival itself into a form of play. They had made strength from weakness, courage from fear, and progress from disaster. "Are all humans like this?" she asked quietly. "Pretty much," Ambassador Parker smiled. "Though some of us are crazier than others. Wait until you meet our astronauts. They volunteered to ride controlled explosions into space for a living." As the meeting continued, Veltar realized that everything she thought she knew about intelligent life was wrong. The humans had not survived their Deathworld despite being insane. They had survived because they were insane, and somehow, impossibly, it worked. The alarm bells on the neutral station screamed through every corridor like dying animals. Red lights flashed as the automated voice announced what everyone feared most. Pirates had found them. Dr. Veltar Moonwhisper pressed herself against the wall of the conference room, her tentacles wrapped around her body for protection. Captain Zephyr Nineblue's crystalline form had turned completely clear, showing his terror. Lieutenant Hivemind Node 7's wings buzzed so fast they became invisible as he prepared to follow standard emergency procedures. "All beings must report to designated safe zones," the station's computer announced. "Security forces will handle the threat. Remain in safe zones until the all-clear signal." The three aliens began moving toward the nearest safe zone, but they stopped when they realized the humans were not following them. Colonel Jake Morrison was standing at the room's communication panel, speaking quickly into his headset. "Rodriguez? What's our situation? How many ships? What kind of weapons?" He listened for a moment, then nodded. "Copy that. We're moving to help." Ambassador Lisa Parker was already putting on what looked like protective gear. "Jake, the station security said they've never dealt with these particular pirates before. The Void Runners are known for taking no prisoners." "Even better," the colonel replied with that strange human smile. "Means we don't have to hold back." Veltar's skin turned white with shock. "Colonel Morrison, you must come to the safe zones. This is not your fight. You are diplomats, not warriors." The human looked at her with confusion. "Doctor, there are innocent people on this station. We can't just hide while they're in danger." "But the security forces will handle it," Node 7 clicked frantically. "That is their job. Civilians must stay safe." Colonel Morrison and Ambassador Parker exchanged a look that Veltar was beginning to recognize. It was the same look humans got when they were about to do something that made no sense to any rational being. "Doctor," Ambassador Parker said gently, "humans don't really work that way. When there's trouble, we help. It's just what we do." Before the aliens could protest further, the humans were moving through the station corridors in the wrong direction. Instead of heading to safety, they were going toward the danger. Veltar found herself following them, partly out of scientific curiosity, and partly because she could not believe what she was seeing. Node 7 and Captain Zephyr Nineblue came with her, all three aliens staying well behind the humans. They reached a junction where the station's security chief, A large being with purple fur and 4 arms was coordinating the defense. His name was Commander Grax, and Veltar had never seen him look so worried. "The pirates have breached sections 7 through 12, Commander Grax was saying to his officers. "They have superior firepower and more experience. We need to hold them off until the patrol ships arrive." "How long until backup?" Colonel Morrison asked, stepping into the group like he belonged there. Commander Grax looked surprised. "Human, you should be in the safe zones. This is a military matter." "Commander, I have experience with hostile situations. What do you need?" The security chief's 4 eyes studied the human. "The pirates are using the maintenance tunnels to move around our defensive positions. We cannot cover all the access points with our current forces." Ambassador Parker stepped forward. "How many access points are we talking about?" 17 different tunnel entrances. "But human, you do not understand. These pirates are professionals. They kill without hesitation." Veltar watched in amazement as the colonel's expression grew more excited, not more frightened. "Perfect. Lisa, remember that urban warfare training we did on Mars? The tunnel fighting exercises?" "Yeah, that was fun? Fun?" Commander Grax repeated the word like it was a foreign concept. Within minutes, the humans had organized themselves into a fighting unit. Colonel Morrison took charge of the tactical planning while Ambassador Parker coordinated with the station's computer systems. They moved through the corridors with confidence, collecting equipment and preparing for battle. But what shocked Veltar most was how they began recruiting other station personnel. A human chef named Carlos Martinez emerged from the kitchen carrying a collection of knives that he claimed would work better than standard weapons in close quarters. "These are designed for cutting through tough materials," Carlos explained to the confused security officers. "Pirates are just another kind of tough material." A human communications officer named Steve Wilson had somehow turned the station's entertainment system into a weapon, using the speakers to create disorienting sound blasts in the areas where pirates were moving. "Humans," Wilson explained to the alien technicians, "we learn to use whatever tools we have available. Everything can be a weapon if you think about it right." Veltar followed the group through the station, watching as the humans did impossible things. They moved toward gunfire instead of away from it. They split up to cover more ground, deliberately putting themselves in greater danger to protect others. When they encountered the first group of pirates, they attacked immediately instead of waiting for backup. The pirates were a mix of different species, all experienced fighters with advanced weapons. They should have easily defeated a group of diplomats and station workers, but the humans fought like they had been born for war. Colonel Morrison moved through the tunnels like water, appearing where enemies least expected him. Ambassador Parker coordinated the defense with calm precision, directing forces through her communicator while dodging laser fire. The human chef used his kitchen knives with deadly accuracy, while the communications officer confused the pirates with his sonic attacks. What terrified Veltar most was how much the humans seemed to be enjoying themselves. In the middle of a life-or-death battle, they were laughing and making jokes. "Jake, remember that time in the asteroid belt when we were outnumbered 10-1? Ambassador Parker called out while taking cover behind a damaged wall panel. "Best vacation ever," the colonel replied, then popped up to fire at advancing pirates. "Though I think we're up to 15-1 odds now. Even better." Node 7's compound eyes tracked the action in disbelief. "They are having fun during mortal combat. This cannot be normal behavior, but it was normal for humans." As the battle continued, more humans joined the fight. A maintenance worker named Amy Chun used her engineering tools to create traps for the pirates. A medical officer named Kevin Wright continued treating wounded station personnel even while under fire, seemingly unconcerned about the danger to himself. The turning point came when the humans stopped fighting defensively and went on the attack. Instead of protecting the station's critical systems, they began hunting the pirates through the maintenance tunnels. "This is not how civilized beings conduct warfare," Commander Grax said in amazement as he watched the humans coordinate their assault. "They fight like they have nothing to lose." "Commander," Veltar said quietly, I think they fight like they have everything to gain. The battle ended when the remaining pirates surrendered rather than continue fighting the humans. The professional killers who had terrorized dozens of systems were defeated by a group of diplomats and station workers, led by beings from a Deathworld. As the all-clear signal sounded and the station returned to normal operations, Veltar found herself staring at the humans in wonder. They were cleaning their weapons and checking on the wounded, acting like they had just finished a routine training exercise. "Colonel Morrison," she said, "your people just defeated experienced pirates with kitchen utensils and entertainment equipment. How is this possible?" The human smiled that terrifying smile again. "Doctor, when you grow up on a planet that's constantly trying to kill you, you learn to get creative with problem solving. Plus, it helps that we're all completely insane." Ambassador Parker laughed. "Speak for yourself, Jake. Some of us are only mostly insane." Veltar realized that the humans were not joking. They really believed they were insane, and somehow that made them even more dangerous. The galaxy had just met a species that turned madness into a military strategy, and it worked perfectly. The Galactic Council chamber floated in the void between 3 star systems, a massive structure that could hold representatives from 1,000 different worlds. Today, it held the most important debate in galactic history. The question was simple but terrifying. What should they do about the humans? Dr. Veltar Moonwhisper sat in the witness section, her tentacles wrapped nervously around her research notes. Beside her, Captain Zephyr 9 Blue flickered between colors so rapidly that he looked like a living rainbow. Lieutenant Hivemind Node 7's wings buzzed quietly as he reviewed the videos they had recorded during their time with the humans. At the center of the chamber, Counselor Prime Frequency Omega stood on his floating platform. His metallic body reflected the light from the chamber's artificial stars as he addressed the assembly. "Fellow beings," his voice rang out like a bell, "we have discovered a species that challenges everything we know about intelligent life. The humans come from a world so dangerous that our computers classify it as uninhabitable. Yet not only do they live there, they have thrived and reached the stars." Elder Thoughttree Ancient extended her massive wooden branches from her own platform. Her voice sounded like wind through leaves. "The question before us is whether these humans represent an opportunity or a threat. Dr. Moonwhisper, please share your findings." Veltar floated to the speaking platform, her stomach churning with nervous energy. She looked out at the hundreds of alien representatives and began her report. "Honored counselors, the humans are unlike any species we have encountered. Their planet Earth experiences regular catastrophes that would destroy most civilizations. Ice ages that last thousands of years, earthquakes that reshape continents, storms with winds that could tear apart our ships. Yet humans have not just survived these disasters, they have used them to become stronger." She activated the holographic display, showing images of Earth's violent history. The assembled aliens watched in silence as volcanoes erupted. Meteors struck the planet, and massive storms raged across the surface. "But this is not the most disturbing part," Veltar continued. "The humans have developed a culture where they seek out danger voluntarily. They climb mountains that could kill them with avalanches. They swim in oceans filled with predators. They race vehicles at speeds that would be lethal if they crashed." Counselor Prime Frequency Omega's metallic form darkened. "Dr. Moonwhisper, are you saying they are suicidal?" "No, Counselor. That is what makes them so terrifying. They are not trying to die. They are trying to feel alive. The humans have discovered that facing danger makes them stronger, faster, and more creative. They have turned fear into a tool." The chamber erupted in worried murmurs from hundreds of different species. Elder Thoughttree Ancient raised a branch for silence. "Show us evidence of this behavior," she commanded. Veltar played the videos the humans had shared with them. The assembled counselors watched humans throwing themselves from aircraft with only cloth parachutes, riding wooden boards down snow-covered mountains, and fighting wild animals with their bare hands. "They call these activities sports and recreation," Veltar explained. Millions of humans participate in these dangerous activities for fun. They train their children to do these things from an early age. Their children? Gasped Counselor Spiral Shell Beauty from her water-filled tank. They expose their young to danger on purpose? Yes, Counselor. They believe that children who face controlled dangers grow up to be stronger adults. They have playground equipment designed to teach children how to climb, jump, and take risks safely. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Most civilized species protected their young from any possible harm. The idea of deliberately exposing children to danger was incomprehensible. Captain Zephyr Nineblue was called to speak next. His crystalline form had settled on a deep blue color that showed his serious mood. Honored counselors, I witnessed these humans in combat against pirates who had attacked our meeting station. The humans did not follow any recognizable military protocol. Instead of seeking safety and waiting for help, they immediately moved toward the danger. They used kitchen equipment and entertainment systems as weapons. They fought like beings who had nothing to lose. How effective were they? Asked General Clawstrike Thunder, a warrior from a species known for their fighting skills. The pirates surrendered, Captain Zephyr Nineblue replied simply. Professional killers who have terrorized the galaxy for years gave up rather than continue fighting a group of human diplomats and civilians. The general's reptilian eyes widened. Impossible. Node 7 took the platform next, his compound eyes reflecting the chamber's lights. Counselors, I have studied human history through their own records. What I found challenges our understanding of evolution itself. He activated his own display, showing timelines of human development. Most species develop intelligence to avoid conflict and danger. Humans developed intelligence to create better conflicts and face greater dangers they have been at war with each other for their entire recorded history, yet instead of destroying them, these wars have made them advance faster. War accelerated their development? Elder Thought Tree Ancient's branches rustled with confusion. Yes, Elder, human conflicts have driven innovation in medicine, engineering, communication, and space travel. They literally fight their way to higher technology. And when they are not fighting each other, they fight their planet's attempts to kill them. The display showed human cities built on earthquake fault lines, in hurricane zones, and next to active volcanoes. They build their homes in the most dangerous places on their planet, then develop technology to survive the disasters that follow. Counselor Prime Frequency Omega's form began to glow with agitation. This behavior makes no sense. Why do they not simply move to safer locations? Because, Counselor, safe locations do not exist on their world. Everywhere is dangerous. So they learn to thrive in danger instead of avoiding it. The debate that followed lasted for hours. Some counselors argued that humans were too dangerous to contact. Others believed they could be valuable allies. A few suggested that humans might be the key to solving problems the galaxy had given. The turning point came when Dr. Julia Stevens arrived with a human research team. The irony was not lost on Veltar that while she was trying to convince the council that humans were manageable, the humans themselves were proving her wrong. Dr. Stevens had volunteered to travel to the council chamber despite the obvious risks. She brought with her a team of scientists who seemed genuinely excited about studying alien cultures. They treated the most important diplomatic meeting in galactic history like an interesting field trip. Counselors, Dr. Stevens said when she was allowed to speak, we understand your concerns about our species. We know we seem crazy to you. But consider this, the galaxy faces challenges that require crazy solutions. Dead systems that need to be revived, dangerous territories that need to be explored, impossible problems that need solving, she gestured to her team. These are the people who volunteer for our most dangerous space missions. They go to places where anyone sane would refuse to travel. They turn disasters into opportunities and problems into adventures. Dr. Stevens smiled at the assembled aliens. You say our world is impossible to live on, we call it home. You say our behavior is insane, we call it Tuesday. Maybe the galaxy needs a little bit of insanity. The final vote was closer than anyone expected. After 12 hours of debate, the Council decided to allow limited contact with humanity. They would establish a small joint research station and observe how humans interacted with other species, but as Veltar watched the humans celebrate their diplomatic victory, she knew the galaxy had just changed forever. The humans were not just another new species. They were living proof that the impossible was just another word for difficult, and they made difficult look easy. The massive space anomaly hung in the void like a wound in reality itself. Dr. Veltar. Moon Whisper stared at the sensor readings from the bridge of the research vessel Serenity's Edge, her tentacles trembling as she tried to make sense of what she was seeing. The thing was enormous, easily the size of a small moon, and it was growing. Streams of dark energy poured out of its center, twisting space and time around it. Worse yet, it was moving toward the inhabited systems of the Kepler sector, where billions of beings lived on dozens of worlds. Captain Zephyrnine Blue's crystalline form had turned a deep red color that showed his fear. Doctor, how long before it reaches the first inhabited planet? Veltar checked her calculations again, hoping she had made a mistake. 48 hours, Captain. Maybe less if it continues to accelerate. On the communication screen, representatives from across the galaxy appeared one by one. The emergency council session had been called within minutes of detecting the anomaly. Every major species had sent their best scientists and military leaders to discuss the crisis. Elder Thought Tree Ancient's branches swayed with worry as she spoke from her homeworld. What do our scientists say about this phenomenon? Can it be stopped? Dr. Keth Prime Mathematics, the galaxy's leading expert on spatial anomalies, appeared on screen. His gaseous form shifted colors as he delivered his report. Elder, our analysis shows this is a collapsed dimension bleeding into our reality. The energy output is beyond anything we have ever measured. Our model suggests that nothing can survive contact with it. What about evacuation? Asked General Claw Strike Thunder. Impossible, Dr. Keth Prime Mathematics replied. The anomaly affects faster-than-light travel within a light-year radius. Ships cannot escape once they get close. We cannot evacuate entire star systems in the time we have. The Council fell silent as the terrible truth sank in. They were facing the destruction of billions of lives, and there was nothing they could do about it. That was when Captain Danny Rodriguez's voice cut through the despair. Excuse me, but did you say nothing can survive contact with this thing? The aliens turned to look at the human who had spoken. Captain Rodriguez commanded the human research vessel Defiant Hope, which had been studying the joint human-alien research station when the anomaly appeared. Dr. Keth Prime Mathematics' gaseous form swirled with confusion. Captain Rodriguez, yes. The energy levels are impossible to survive. Any ship that approaches will be destroyed instantly. Okay, but has anyone actually tried to get close to it? Or are you just assuming it's deadly based on your sensor readings? The question hung in the air like a challenge. Veltar watched as the galaxy's greatest scientific minds struggled to answer. Captain, Elder Thought Tree Ancient said carefully, our sensors clearly show that this anomaly produces energy levels that would vaporize any known material. Why would we send ships to confirm what we already know? Captain Rodriguez smiled. That terrifying human smile that Veltar had learned to fear. Because sometimes sensors are wrong. And sometimes the impossible is just really difficult. Before anyone could protest, the human captain was already giving orders to his crew. Susan, plot a course for the anomaly. Pete, start prepping our engines for maximum output. Linda, I want every sensor we have focused on that thing. Captain Rodriguez, Counselor Prime Frequency Amiga's metallic voice rang with alarm. You cannot be serious. You are proposing to fly directly into certain death. Not certain death, Navigator Susan Blake's voice came from the human ship. Probably death, there's a difference. Veltar watched in horror as the human ship began moving toward the anomaly. Captain Rodriguez, please reconsider. Your species has just joined the galactic community. We cannot lose you to a suicide mission. Dr. Moonwhisper, Engineer Pete Morris replied from the human ship. With respect, nobody's committing suicide here. We're just going to take a closer look at something nobody else wants to examine. The human ship Defiant Hope was smaller than most alien vessels, built with the same sharp angles and weapon systems that characterized all human spacecraft. As it approached the anomaly, every sensor in the fleet focused on its progress. Dr. Linda Hayes' voice crackled through the communication system as she reported from the human ship. We're entering the outer energy field now. Radiation levels are high but manageable. Our shields are holding. Impossible, Dr. Keth Prime Mathematics whispered. No shields can withstand that level of energy. Apparently human shields can, Captain Rodriguez replied cheerfully. Though I should mention that we built these shields to protect us from solar flares and cosmic radiation during long space flights. Our home system is pretty rough on spacecraft. The human ship continued deeper into the anomaly while the alien fleet watched from what they considered a safe distance. As the Defiant Hope disappeared into the swirling energy streams, Veltar found herself holding her breath. For 20 minutes, there was no contact. The alien scientists began to assume the worst. Then Captain Rodriguez's voice came through the static. Well, this is interesting. Captain, what is your status? Captain Zephyr 9 Blue asked urgently. We're fine. Better than fine, actually. Pete, show them what we found. The human ship transmitted sensor data that made no sense to the watching aliens. Instead of showing the inside of a collapsed dimension, the readings showed a stable pocket of space containing what appeared to be ancient technology. Dr. Hayes' excited voice filled the communication channel. It's not a natural anomaly at all. It's some kind of massive machine, probably millions of years old. The energy output isn't random destruction, it's a beacon. A beacon? Elder Thought Tree Ancient's branches rustled with confusion. Yes, Elder. Whatever civilization built this thing was trying to communicate across dimensional barriers. The machine has been running for so long that its containment system started to fail, causing the dimensional bleed. Engineer Morris's voice joined the report. The good news is that we can fix it. The bad news is that someone needs to get inside the machine's core to reset the containment protocols manually. The alien scientists exchanged worried looks. Getting inside the machine would require traveling through energy fields that should have been instantly lethal. Captain Rodriguez, Veltar said slowly, surely you are not planning to go inside that thing. Actually, Doctor, that's exactly what we're planning. Susan's already found what looks like an access port. Pete thinks he can jury-rig our life. Support systems to handle the internal environment. And Linda's dying to study whatever technology is in there. Dying might be the right word. Navigator Blake added with what sounded like amusement. Over the next several hours, the humans did the impossible. They entered the ancient machine, navigated its dangerous interior, and somehow managed to reset systems that had been running since before most galactic civilizations existed. When they emerged, the anomaly began to shrink. The dangerous energy output decreased to safe levels, and the threat to the inhabited systems was over. The human ship returned to the fleet carrying data about technology that could benefit the entire galaxy. Captain Rodriguez and his crew had not only saved billions of lives, they had made one of the greatest archaeological discoveries in history. As Veltar watched the humans celebrate their success, she finally understood what made them so special. Other species had spent millions of years learning to avoid danger and seek safety. Humans had spent the same time learning to face danger and find opportunity. When the galaxy encountered a problem that seemed impossible to solve, they looked for ways around it. When humans encountered the same problem, they flew straight into it and figured out how to fix it from the inside. Dr. Veltar Moonwhisper began writing her final report about the human species. Her conclusion was simple: the galaxy did not need humans despite their apparent insanity. The galaxy needed humans because of their apparent insanity. Sometimes, she wrote, the impossible was just another word for human.